Hey guys, what's up? I'm finally back with more Hidden Gems on the PlayStation 4. That's right, 10 more great JRPGs, obscure, overlooked, that I think you should know about. And man, the PS4 is such a big machine for Hidden Gems, huh? And JRPGs are no exception. So welcome to part 3, everybody. Let's begin. Number 10, Magmalord. This game was released today, that's right, as of the making of this video. Of course I got a review code from the publisher, so I got to play it first. It was developed by Felistella, a studio formed by employees of Flight Plan, who were the developers of Eternal Poison and most of the Summon Night games. In fact, it's kind of a spiritual successor to the Swordcraft story games on the GBA. Here you control a male or female demon lord who's in the middle of a war against the gods, but something happens and they awaken in the future where the war is no more. Unfortunately, your protagonist is now bound to some government administration and must protect the town from monsters. It's a pretty basic action RPG where most of it is controlled by the menus. Just like in Swordcraft story, you'll also be able to craft the 3 different types of weapons that you can equip and switch to at any given time. Actually, this is indispensable in battles played in 2D, as you can see, since some enemies are only weak to a specific type of weapon. You'll perform missions in several different areas where you'll be able to find items for crafting and other stuff. Making contact with an enemy will have you entering battle, and you can take a partner with you and control that very same partner for the rest of the mission. This is a pretty fun game, check it out if you can. Number 9, The Witch and the 100 Knight 2. Still exclusive to the PS4, this is another action RPG. One where you control a small 100 Knight again in a different quest. That's right, you don't need to play the first game to understand this one, although it's good to know that that one is also on the PS4. Anyway, you were summoned by Milm, Amelie's younger sister, who right when she dies is possessed by an evil witch called Chelka. Problem is, Amelie belongs to an organization that fights witches, so now in order to save her sister's soul, she must become allies with Chelka. It's a crazy story, but it's full of humor like the first game. Once again, it's a top-down view action RPG, not isometric even though it may give you that impression. Your knight can equip different types of weapons, and the fun thing is that you can create all sorts of combos by instantly changing to another weapon. Hit detection and controls work wonders here as it has great combat. You'll need to traverse various landscapes until you fight a boss and so on. It can be kind of repetitive, but since combat is good like I mentioned, it's also pretty fun. Number 8, Saga Scarlet Grace. Originally released on the PS Vita, this is an enhanced port of it for modern consoles. Digital only so far. Like most Saga games, it has non-linear gameplay and no experience points. You select between 4 playable characters after a series of questions, and off you go in a world where a powerful empire has been dissolved. Every character has a different objective, but the overall plot revolves around the Firebringer, previously defeated in the war, attempting to come back. I said the gameplay isn't linear because it's a small open world where you can do quests at your own pace, or you can just ignore them and focus on the main quest if you want to. Combat is played in turns but with a twist. Everyone shares an AP bar and each individual action costs AP, so you can only select one attack per 3 characters or 2 or 4, etc. That's where the strategy in this game comes from, knowing which attacks to use against what and which character to perform them. Like I said, you don't level up. Instead, characters increase random stats after each battle. Older Saga games, I feel you needed a guide to play them. This one I feel you'll be fine without one. Give it a try if you're already a fan, and if you're not, well, this one might be a good entry into the series. Number 7, Dragon Marked for Death. Developers of the Mega Man Zero and Azure Striker Gunvolt games, Inti Creates, brought this quest-driven action RPG to us. You probably didn't know it was also on PS4 because it had no physical release there, but the digital version lets you play with all 4 characters, unlike the digital Switch release. Unless you bought it physical, you had to purchase the game twice to get them all. Regardless of which character you choose, and they do control very differently by the way, the story and missions are almost identical. The goal is to take your revenge on the upper class, so you start in the lower class. To get further, you'll need to take on several different quests. Some will have you finding a specific item, others will have you fighting a boss, others rescuing people, etc. I like how that variety in objectives diversifies the repetitive nature of this game. Yep, it's played in 2D entirely with great controls and combat, but the highlight is that this action RPG can be played with up to 4 players online or offline as well, in cooperative mode. That's where this game truly shines in my opinion. Number 6. Kitten 1 and 2. These games aren't exactly hidden gems, more like forgotten gems. They were made by Koei Tecmo to compete in the Monster Hunter market, so they play quite similar. You have a base of operations with a few shops here and there, your allies to interact with, and the quest counter. Quests revolve around killing monsters or securing areas like in the Dynasty Warriors games. After a few of these, you'll get the boss quests, which are obviously the highlight of the games. Developed by Omega Force, masters of hack and slash, you can already imagine how awesome the combat is. Your customizable character can fight with any weapon you equip them with, so you should try different types of them. Party AI is excellent, so good that they can sometimes do the entire quest by themselves. Except the boss fights of course, as they are very long, but that's expected as is the whole point of the game. Now this pair is available on PS4, PC and PS Vita and they can be played online. Now which one is better you ask? I put way more hours into the first game, starts a little bit slow but it gets great after your first major boss. The second game is definitely better, everything just feels a little bit more polished and it has better story and character development. Overall, both are great games with kick-ass combat and cool boss fights. Number 5. Blue Reflection Second Light. This game is a direct sequel to a game that's very rare and expensive nowadays, unfortunately, and because the 3 heroines of it are also playable characters here, deeply connected to the main plot, you kinda do need to play that one to understand this one, I guess. I say I guess because, just like many of you, I haven't played the original. But as soon as Hinako and her friends appeared, the protagonists of the first game, I realized it was a direct sequel. I don't think it's indispensable to play it though, I was fine playing only its sequel. After all, it takes place in a different place with several new characters, all trapped in a mysteriously abandoned world, where they'll need to survive while tracking down their memories to escape. So it has survival simulation, but it's kinda like in the Atelier games. You find items and materials, mix them, and then you'll get better items or even small places inside the school. The school being the girls' base of operations. Visuals are beautiful here, and if you're into fan service, this is definitely a must play. Combat is amazing here, perhaps the best part of the game. It plays in turns with 3 active party members and 1 support character, but time flows and it only stops when you bring up the menu when a girl's turn comes up to select their action. It's an interesting twist similar to the combat in Atelier Ryza. Anyway, hope you give this game a chance despite being a sequel to an overly expensive RPG. Number 4. Crystar. Crystar is an action RPG I've covered a few times before. It's also rare, but not as rare as Blue Reflection. PAL version is obviously cheaper and your PS4 is region free, so take advantage of that. It's also coming to the Switch very soon. You follow the grim quest of Rei trying to save her lost sister in Purgatory. After making a pact with the demon caretakers of it, she gains magic powers and the ability to fight. 3 more girls go through something similar and they join up with Rei eventually. Gorgeous visuals, gothic art style but with some cheesy drama here and there trying to take itself way too seriously. Story is still great though, with some unexpectedly dark twists. You'll be traversing different areas full of enemies, some whose souls you can purify, until you eventually reach a boss, most of them being actually quite challenging. Purifying souls helps Rei to cry so she can use the tears to gain new equipment like accessories. Yeah, it's weird, but it's still very unique. Overall, this is a great game on the PS4, also available on PC, just like the first Blue Reflection, by the way. Number 3. Metal Max Xeno. Part of a long-running series that's kinda big in Japan. We've only got one on the PS2 called Metal Saga, unrelated to this one, but they both take place in a post-apocalyptic world. In Xeno, almost the entire human race has been wiped out by machines, so it's the goal of our characters here to survive and destroy the machines. So the world is a deserted wasteland, literally speaking, with tons of ruins to explore. Inside of them, you'll control a party of 3 characters looking for loot and special parts to improve their tanks or especially their base. Battles will be random encounters carried over in turns. Your characters can equip different weapons here. Outside the ruins, where most of the game will occur, you'll move around in your tanks. Also with a party of 3, also in turn-based battles. The more you progress, the more complicated the tank customization and equipment will get. It's very important to try and understand that because some of the bosses can be very daunting with tons of HP. And since combat focuses on elemental strengths and weaknesses, trying to break their shields can take forever. So if you're looking for a great challenge, play this game, it's awesome, with great music too and heavy fan service. This year it will be released again on PS4 and now on Switch, but in the form of a remake. Can't go wrong with the original version though. Number 2. Oninaki. Oninaki is probably the most popular, less hidden game here, but I still think it deserves more recognition. It's an action RPG developed by Tokyo RPG Factory, creators of I Am Setsuna and Lost Sphere. Story is very deep, dark and tragic here about a watcher called Kagachi in an organization that takes care of ensuring the cycle of reincarnation. People believe in this world that you can reincarnate after you die, but sometimes, when someone dies, their spirit has trouble passing on, so that's where the Watchers come in, except that they have to defeat monsters in both the real world and the beyond world to reach some of them. Others, you just need to talk to them and perform small quests so they can pass on. Only one major town features in Oninaki that will work as your base of operations. Kagachi fights alone with no party members, but he can use some spirits to use his abilities. Each has their own skill tree and you'll be unlocking different moves so Kagachi can perform them simultaneously with them. While there's no main story focus on them, they do have backgrounds and you can watch them to understand them better. You gotta fight and defeat enemies first though to unlock these memories. It's no fast-paced action RPG, but you do fight hordes of enemies regularly. Controls are slower, but you get used to that in no time. This is a fantastic game, one I strongly recommend if anything for its story and plot twists. Number 1. Brigandine, The Legend of Runercia. It's a strategy RPG sequel to a PS1 game, but unrelated to it in terms of story and characters. The whole campaign takes place in the continent of Runercia, and it's your goal to conquer every single territory. You can choose between 6 different realms, each with their own protagonist. They all have their own reasons to participate in the war. The gameplay is divided in 2 sections. The first one is the organization phase, where you have to decide where to move your troops and commanders. You can also summon monsters here as long as you have enough mana. Each monster will always start at level 1 and they do die permanently in battle. Human characters will always be the commanders of each group of monsters, but if they get defeated, they just retreat. In fact, that's the whole point of the game, to defeat the enemy commanders until they retreat over and over again, eventually conquering their entire realm. The second section of the game are the attack phases. You select up to 3 commanders and their platoons to attack an enemy group. Battles will be played on terrain-affected areas walking in hexagonal grids. Commanders and monsters have different abilities you'll have to use depending on the situation, but as long as you bring down an enemy commander or 2, you'll have the battle won. This game is a masterpiece and I regret not having included it on my top 10 best modern strategy RPGs video. Too bad the physical version is also kinda pricey nowadays, but this game is strongly recommended. So those were my picks for today's video, guys. Don't forget that Fuga Melodies of Steel is also digitally on the PlayStation 4. That's my honorable mention. And also this game, Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, it's a fighting game, but it does have a little RPG inside of it. I covered this game in a video that I'll leave at the end of this one. In fact, that video is right here. Click on it right now. Anyway, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and share this video with your friends. See you next time!